Good afternoon. Hi. Well, it's kind of bright right here. I still can remember my very first day at Dominican. That was about 20 years ago. I was actually a transfer student from a Chinese local school. It was very hard for me because I don't speak English when I got here. I remember my teacher was saying something to me. I had absolutely no idea what she was saying. It was hard. I remember going home and telling my mom, like, I never want to come back to the school. But my parents tried to convince me. They told me the reason they sent me here, they wanted me to learn English. They want me to have this tool that I can actually get connected with the world, see the world with a different angle, to be connected with this whole new world that never had a chance to do so. Therefore, I stick around. I stick around for another 4 years, and I went on to finish my college and high school education in San Francisco, California. While I was in school, I actually started working in a bank. So when I graduated, naturally, I just got another job. They gave me a huge promotion with a huge pay raise. So I stick around. I was actually living the American dream, I guess, climbing that corporate ladder. However, I remember there was one morning, I woke up sort of early, so I got into my office a bit earlier. I had my Starbucks coffee on my hand. I walk into my office. I sat on my table. I look at my business card. It says, Banking Center Manager, Willis, blah, blah, blah. Well, it sounds kind of cool, but I know there's some part of me is still missing. And I had no idea what that is, but I feel like I want to try something new. Working in a bank is definitely not my career path. And then I got a phone call, actually from my dad, 3 months later. He asked me if I would like to move back to Taiwan and work with him. He said he had a project that me to do, and I will be in charge of it. I was thrilled. I was very exciting. Therefore, I forgot to negotiate my salary before I came back. So I went back. 3 months passed by. My project actually got canceled. And then I started entering my retirement life. I go into the office, I sit on my table, and I literally had nothing to do. So I did the unthinkable. Actually, I opened a bar with my friend, who I met 20 years ago in Dominican. And my parents are extremely angry about this, but I did it, and we were pretty successful. After this bar actually went on track, I opened my own property management company. Well, and what I did actually was I'm managing several owners' properties, and I put it on the market for sale or for rent. And we have commercial buildings, and we also have residential. However, the residential buildings never make enough rental income for my investors. Therefore, I brought out a proposal for them. I want to create an Airbnb apartments. They thought it was a pretty cool idea, so they let me try it. This was my first Airbnb apartments. I put a weird British street view on the back with that famous red phone boost. I still remember, I think I launched on Airbnb 4 years ago. On June 2nd. By June 9th, my entire summer was sold out. Business is so good that my investor actually gave me more money right away, telling me to open more. By the end, 3 months after, I already had 9 apartments in Taipei. However, at that time, we actually got a new mayor in town, and he had actually very strict about the Airbnb policy in Taipei. I actually had to force it to shut it all down. And I actually lose $600,000 just on the property, just on find itself. I still remember I was terrified when I walked into my exit interview with my investors. I really thought that they're gonna be yelling at me, they're gonna be mad at me. Instead of doing that, they actually tell me, Willis, we believe in what you have been doing, and we want you to find another place to do a hotel, a real one, a legal one. Therefore, I started my searching. I learned from my Airbnb experience that I needed a legal spot with a very unique spot. So I started searching. I started from Taipei. I went to Taichung. I went to Kaohsiung. I went to Kenting. I went to Yilan. I went all over to Taiwan. And I finally found my spot. Ta-da! This is what I found. I know it looks kind of old. It's okay. It was actually a 60-year-old building. It used to belong to the Pearl Departments in Hualien City. It was their office and their dorm room. At the back of this building, actually this is a storage room belonging to the food department. So what the story behind this building is actually the transportation in Hualien is so poor, they have to ship everything by boat. Therefore, whenever they ship something in, they store it here and then distribute it to the residents around the area. And I started working on this project. I keep the outside and I change the inside, clean up the inside. That's what it looks like right now. At the back of the food storage area, I actually made it to our cafe area / gallery. We'll also play live music there every Saturday night. And I want to make sure all my rooms looks cool and unique. Therefore, I hired 12 different artists from Taiwan to put up their artwork inside their rooms. These are also all hand paintings. The artists on the left-hand side with the elephant, they actually stayed in that room for a month before they came out. On the right-hand side, that's one of the most popular rooms in our hotel. It's a double room. She was actually an interior designer from Los Angeles. Just because she received this project, so she flew all the way back and then take the train to Hualien for 3 months to finish that. And we also got some work from the Aboriginal in Taiwan. These bamboo look like lights, actually not made by bamboo. They are actually some kind of grass grown in their village. And they're using a very traditional technique to actually silk these lights together. All these lights are handmade. I have about 20 of them in my hotels. And they are absolutely beautiful. After when I finish this project, I need to go through my hardest critic in my life, which is my wife. I asked her what did she think. She told me it's good. She actually finally liked my projects. I was actually very excited. I actually put it up on Airbnb just like I had done it before. I was ready to hear my phone rings. I was ready to get my money in the bank, I guess. However, there's nothing happened. I start wondering why. Is that because my photo is not pretty enough? Is that because my price went too high? There isn't. It's just because it's lack of international visibility of Taiwan. People don't know who we are. They don't want to search into us. But why? We're going to solve that problem today, right? Some people might be blending. We're having a weird relationship with Chinese government. That's why we'll never be able to see in the international stage. Some people might be blending our education, saying not a lot of people are able to speak fluent English, like I wouldn't able to. But I actually have other thoughts. I remember when I first time I hop on a taxi in Hualien, I asked the taxi driver, can you take me to the downtown and I would like to get some local food? Would you give me some kind of recommendations? The taxi drivers, very cool. He told me, you know what? We got McDonald's and Starbucks here. I know, I was laughing at the same time. Trust me, I was. But I realized I was doing the same thing just like the taxi driver was doing. Every time my friend visited me in Taipei, what did I do? I took them to a fancy Japanese restaurant or Italian restaurant. And then I'm going to take them to some nightclubs around Taipei 101, just like that. And maybe we go to Cash Bar for some more karaoke. All my friends have a great time with me in Taipei or in Taiwan. But they never took anything away with it because all they are doing here with me are exactly the same thing they can do in their own country, where they came from, probably even better. And our government? Interesting. These three are all culture creative parks in Taiwan. 2 of them are in Taipei, 1 in Hualien, and I believe there is another one in Kaohsiung. They all have one thing in common other than they all look old. They all got fancy European furniture in there. Why are we doing that? Do you think Europeans will appreciate it when they come in and see their own furniture laying around in our culture creative parks? I don't think so. That's why I started to think why. How are we gonna solve this problem? I think at first we need to draw interest on what we have. This is actually a hunter school. This guy came from Hong Kong. He was a blogger. He was here a month ago. Our group actually took him to hunter class. So this hunter class, you actually got to go in the morning. You got to learn how to use the bow. That was actually handmade by our Aboriginal. And then you gotta try to set up tracks on the forest so you can catch some animals. By the end of lessons, I think that was a 1-week lessons. If you finished it and then graduated from it, you get to bring a knife, walk into the forest, and try to survive for 1 night. I thought that was exciting. It's much better than eating McDonald's. And we just talk about food. Well, we talked about McDonald's and Starbucks earlier. Aboriginal actually have an old saying. They say they never have to store any food. I say why? Because they believe ocean is their refrigerators. Mountains are their supermarkets. So whenever they're hungry, you know where they're going. So all these food are actually fresh made. And then they just brought it onto your tables and make sure you eat all the organic food as well. You never have to worry about that. These two are the new friends I have being met in Hualien the past year. The left-hand side, his name is Joseph. Taiwanese people actually got a lot of talent, but our media or ourselves never pay any attention to them. His name is Joseph. His painting was actually on the cover page of London Art Exhibition a few years ago. And I'm sure none of us know that in this room. The lady standing right next to her is Sang Mei Jin. I have heard her voice. I was very lucky to hear her voice in live once. I remember standing just on a corner, and she opened her mouth. She's such a small lady too. Her voice is just amazing. I remember having goosebumps on my hands, and I don't even understand what she was saying, but because she was singing with her native language. But I know that touches my heart. And later on, she told me she actually had an album recorded, actually got nominated by Grammys. And I went on YouTube and I tried to search for her. I realized her album actually has 600 clicks. And that's how little that is. And I really felt they should be actually our focus on what we do. And we should be able to show them to a lot of people. I think paying attention to what surrounded us is extremely important when we want to promote ourselves. A lot of things happening around us right now, probably something that we got used to it. Maybe 7-Eleven at the corner, Starbucks at the right-hand side. But all these things, it's just small details. And then they could be very different from any other people came from a different place. Social media are basically ruling the world, I believe. Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, Twitters. We are able to search anything we want on there. So therefore, when people looking for new experience, looking for fun things to do or cool things to do, they want to experience in real time. They want to experience with their own. They don't want to just look at the pictures or just listening to somebody telling them stories. What I'm doing lately is I start throwing live concert with local artists. I work with local artists to put out street fair, make sure they have a stage to show their work. This might be the end of my speech, but I hope it's a new beginning to remind everybody in the room today that we should be proud of our own culture, proud of what we have, embrace what we do. Local, yes, local, yet international. Thank you very much. Have a good one.